If you remember epic split-screen battles against your friends, great ape Raditz with a mullet, and choosing from the largest character roster in history, then you grew up playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. But which one? Because there were 3 games in the original series, and in this video we're going to compare each of them. But first, let's set the scene. The original Budokai games developed by DIMS were both beloved by fans and responsible for setting up Dragon Ball as a major video game franchise in the West. But by 2004, the original Budokai Trilogy was coming to an end, and Bandai decided to start a new series with a new developer, Spike. The publisher wanted these new games to have a greater focus on open movement to better convey the large-scale battles from the anime. This new game would be known as Dragon Ball Z Sparking, a reference to the last lyric of the show's opening. However, here in the West we had a completely different opening, so the publishers decided to borrow the title of the Tenkaichi Budokai tournament from the series, flip it, and capitalize on the established series brand, even though this was a completely different game. That's marketing for you. Okay, let's begin with the first game, which was released in October of 2005. And just like many Dragon Ball games before it, it starts with a dedicated opening cinematic. You know, the one where everybody's been dipped in baby oil? I mean, just look at Frieza, he's ready to go on stage at the Mr. Olympia contest. And of course, the opening would give us this wonderful exchange between Goku and Vegeta. Okay, but what about the gameplay? Well, this wouldn't be a Dragon Ball game without a sizable roster of characters. There are 56 playable characters with a total of 90 playable forms and variants. For example, we've got 4 different Majin Buus, 6 if you include all the transformations, every Frieza transformation, a regular Vegeta, and a Scouter Vegeta. Look, they even included Goldu. Oh, they did Super 17 dirty with that face though. And that's the one thing about this first game, the characters have always looked a bit off-model to me when compared to Budokai 3. Everything is there, but they kind of look like they came from those episodes of the anime that were given to the B-tier animators. There are 11 battle stages, including all your favorites from the anime, like that piece of road where the androids beat up Vegeta. Now, unlike the Budokai games, Tenkaichi uses the behind-the-back camera perspective, which is more akin to third-person shooters. In fact, this camera perspective is similar to another Dragon Ball game which was released in 2005, but that's a whole other can of worms. This camera perspective does mean that the 2-player mode is now presented in split screen. The combat itself is pretty standard for a Dragon Ball game consisting of melee and ki attacks along with special moves. However, it is set across a much larger environment than the previous games. So large that you now have a radar and a special lock-on button.
Oh, there you are!
And this is where the developers added a bit more nuance to the different types of characters. For example, the androids don't show up on the radar. Characters with scouters can lock onto opponents from anywhere. All the Majin Buu characters slowly regenerate health over time. Larger characters don't flinch from smaller characters' melee attacks, and nobody flinches from Hercule's attacks whatsoever. There are a total of 5 main game modes, starting with the campaign mode Z Battle Gate, which is quite comprehensive. It has all the main sagas from the anime along with the battles from the movies. Pretty much every battle you can think of from the anime is present and then some. For example, we've got Goku versus Vegeta, Goku versus Great Ape Vegeta, Great Ape Gohan versus Great Ape Vegeta, and then regular Vegeta versus Great Ape Gohan. And I like how instead of Ki Blast, the Great Apes just have an endless supply of rocks. The camera does also lose its mind sometimes, especially with the bigger characters. Both the original Dragon Ball and GT are also represented in the campaign mode. The GT sections take you up to Super 17, and the original Dragon Ball sections have you playing through some of the key tournament battles. But there is no Demon King Piccolo in this game, so they've got regular Piccolo to be the stand-in.
That's how I'm supposed to look.
And you also get a few what-if sagas where you get to play as the villains. In addition to the campaign mode, you also have Ultimate Battle mode, which lets you take on a bunch of different opponents. You also get the standard World Tournament and practice modes, along with Z Fusion mode, where you can fuse items to unlock new abilities or characters. And if you want a break from all the fighting, you can always browse the character illustrations. Looks like they also did Raditz dirty in this one, just look at his Kiari Mundi sized head. Also, why doesn't Yamcha have any outfit options? He had more drip than any of the other male characters in all of Dragon Ball. This first game did have loads of little quirks, like Vegeta standing absolutely still while having the happiest moment of his life.
I have finally defeated Kakarot!
You also have General Tao bowing down in mid-air, and Hercule knocking himself out of the ring with his special move. Budokai Tenkaichi was a departure from the traditional combat established in the original Budokai Trilogy. However, the game was well received by fans and sold over 1 million copies in the US alone, which warranted a sequel. So 1 year later, Spike would release Budokai Tenkaichi 2, which once again started with another 3D opening sequence. The characters aren't quite as oiled up as the first time around, but they do look and feel a bit more stiff. But Frieza is still doing all the steroids he can get his hands on. Gameplay wise, Budokai Tenkaichi 2 expands the roster to 129 playable characters, introducing more movie villains along with some, deep cut characters. We've got Kui, Salza, Yajirobe, and many more. Plus, many of the returning characters get new transformations, which is how we ended up with a great ape version of literally every Saiyan. A nice little Easter egg that I've noticed is that several of the character select poses are direct tributes to Final Bout. The combat itself is very similar to the first game, however, this time around you can transform and fuse during the fight. Another new addition is the tag team mode, allowing for each player to build a team of up to 5 characters which they can swap out during battle. Finally, I can assemble the Gohan 5. Kid Gohan, Teen Gohan, Gohan, Ultimate Gohan, and Yamcha, because he kind of looks like Gohan, and they will be taking on the Great Ape 5. The campaign mode returns, this time dubbed Dragon Adventure. It's very similar to the Dragon Universe mode from Budokai 3 and has the characters fly around both Earth and Namek, going from battle to battle and collecting skills. However, this time around you can land in certain settlements. You can't really explore them because your character will be trapped in this invisible box, but it is a nice touch. Just like the first game, you do get to play through movie scenarios, although some of them have been rejigged to fit the limited world map. Like, how did giant Janemba get on top of Kami's lookout? Some of the special moves have also been touched up and expanded. For example, Goku now has the Spirit Bomb that floats and grows in the sky above the stage. Its scale and impact is based on how much you've charged it. Ugh, Master Roshi's not going to be happy about this. The other modes from the first game also make a return with relatively little changes. Ultimate Battle now has a Mortal Kombat style progression structure up Korin's Tower, and the library mode has more detailed character information. In addition to the PlayStation 2 version, Budokai Tenkaichi 2 was also released for the Nintendo Wii. The Japanese and European version of the Wii game did come with new stages and several more iconic D-list characters like Frieza Soldier, Apool, and Pilaf's Machine. Plus, the Wii version also incorporated some good old waggle into the controls. Luckily, you could also play it using the classic controller. And finally, we come to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, released in 2007. And of course, we start with yet another 3D intro, this time with dancing and rock, paper, scissors. There are now a whopping 162 playable characters, and you can tell the developers were really struggling at this point because some of the new additions included Babidi, not Goku's mum, Nam, and everyone's favorite, Devilman. There are also 23 battle stages, with my new favorite being Penguin Village. Just look at that happy sun smiling down at the combatants while they fight to the death. Many of the stages also have a day and night variant, which allows for Saiyan characters like Vegeta and Nappa to transform into their great ape form. Certain characters like Broly and Janemba also have unique transformation animations, plus more characters have been given unique finishing moves like Pilaf Machine launching a missile from its thing. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 also added several new combat mechanics like Sonic Sway, Rush Key Wave, and Z-Burst Dash. The campaign mode, now dubbed Dragon History, is closer to the first game with its chapter-based layout. This time around, a lot of the same enemies that you fight over and over again with different characters have been condensed into a single battle where the characters alternate, which greatly improves the pacing. As expected, the campaign covers all of the Z sagas, the movies, the original Dragon Ball, and GT. Plus, there are a couple of bizarre new what-if situations, my favorite being that time Metal Frieza returned, but instead of fighting Trunks, he was greeted by Devilman. The other game modes also make a return, this time with new features like Battle Replay and the Yamcha Tournament. But to me, the standout is the Character Reference mode, which now has Chi-Chi giving her take on all 162 characters.
Hope his pervertedness doesn't power up. No doubt he's planning something evil.
Yeah, like raising your son. This game also had a Wii version, which was the first game in the series to have online multiplayer. Players were able to take on opponents from all around the world and compete in the global ranking system. And so there we have it, the Budokai Tenkaichi Trilogy, the all-you-can-eat buffet of Dragon Ball games. Spike did a great job of building on each subsequent installment while still staying true to the source material. And the results speak for themselves. Almost 2 decades after their release, the Budokai Tenkaichi Trilogy is still regarded as one of the best Dragon Ball games ever made. And this year it finally gets a true sequel in Sparking Zero. But that's a video for another time. In the meantime, please let me know if you'd like to see me cover more Dragon Ball games, and leave a comment below with your memories of the original Budokai Tenkaichi Trilogy. As always, thanks for watching. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and a big thanks to all my existing patrons. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.